Welcome everyone. Happy to be here to answer your questions. Without wasting any more time, I'm just going to do it because I have a lot of questions on the events channel. Uh, Please feel free to add more. While I'm going to start with the first question. It's coming from Bulino11. How the usage of single site staking and data NFT will maximize the system efficiency? Well, there are I would say two parts. First, the single site staking that solves one of our biggest problems with V3 rug pulls. And the data NFT, I would say it's one more step in building the trust that we need in order to unleash the data economy. What is the potential added value created with V4? This is coming from Jambu. Uh, ooh, that's a tough question. I would link it again to building trust because this is what we need right now. Without trust, it's going to be hard for us. Next question is coming from Robin. Will the ability of issuing multiple data tokens for multiple licenses access type of on one data NFT will be supported in the Ocean marketplace, or this is up for the community to develop? No, definitely it's going to be supported on our marketplace. We are also going to support multiple file URLs. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a deadline yet, but I think it's going to be soon enough. Next question, again from Robin. V4 offers the option to have different templates for the data NFTs. Could you elaborate on how to develop them and why you choose the current template? Well, actually, when we started designing the V4, we realized that almost certain it's going to be impossible to keep the same smart contract for a decade or even more. So the question was, how can we have a actually, it was a debate. Having a governance system, which will allow us to update the contracts or use a template system. And we chose the second one. Basically, we can always enhance V4 with additional templates. Maybe somebody is going to need a super enterprise-ish feature, which doesn't make sense to have it in our primary template. So we are just going to write a new template, and that entity is going to use that. On the developing part, I would say mostly it's going to be done by OPF. Obviously, if there is a proposal coming from community, definitely we can discuss it. But at the end, OPF is going to approve if that template is going to be added to the official deployment of the smart contracts. Going a little bit technical, obviously, a data NFT should implement a minimum set of functions, and usually it's what the interface is going to expose. But if you have more technical questions, just drop me a message. Okay, next question. Does public testnet had any improvement? I hope a possible big bug is detected with it. Well, first, uh, when you're going to develop a smart contract, most likely you are going to use Ganache. But Ganache is not a real test network. It's just a tool. So the next step would be to do it on a public testnet. And it has its own perks and cons. You are going to have access to free money. You can mint whatever tokens you want, but in the same time, usually a public testnet, it's either working or it's not working at all. So it's not always enough to have a public testnet. You need a production testnet. And we had this issue, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, when everything was working perfectly on the public testnet, but on a production network, instead of having a transaction confirmed in, let's say, 30 seconds, it took like half an hour. And obviously, we need some code changes. Regarding bugs, we have Immunify bug bounty, which is open for I would say, I don't know, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. We had some several reports, but all of them were either low severity or medium. There were not a single high severity or critical issue. And we also have an audit, so finger crossed. Next question is coming from Supply DeFi. Preemptive, thank you for taking the time to do it, Emma. It's my pleasure. If you want to summarize the development journey from V3 to V4 in one word, what would be and why? Whew, lengthy. It took a lot of time, and we had a lot of challenges. Next question. What's the main difference between V3 and V4? Well, I would say we have three major updates. Data NFTs, solving the rug pulls, and community monetize. And maybe I can just go briefly into details. Data NFTs, well, we in V3 we realized that there is no way of having the IP ownership expressed on chain. So that is what the data NFT is going to do. And definitely, again, it's going to build trust. Rug pulls, that was our major problem during V3. There were a lot of publishers who had access to free data tokens, and it was easy for them to just do a rug pull and ending up with more ocean tokens that they should. About the community monetize, again, in V3, we only had one fee, the consume market fee. But we got a lot of questions. Well, why should I build a marketplace and try to gather data sets, trying to engage with publishers when those data sets are going to be consumed on another market and that market is going to take the commission? Well, it's not fair. Agreed. We have listened. In V4, there are multiple fees, each publishing market. So the market which is used to publish that data set is going to have fees. Every time the data set is consumed, every time a data token is bought. On the consume side, the consume market, the market which is going to be used when that data asset is consumed, they are free to charge their own fees. And obviously, for liquidity providers, we have another set of fees. And in addition to that, we have provider fees. So we are trying to have as many providers as possible, because now there is an incentive to run a provider and also run computer data services. So I'm expecting maybe some kind of business to be developed in that area. Which of the main innovation in ONDA V4 will drive more adoption in your opinion? And what can be the key aspect to overcome barriers for newcomers? Whew. Let's see. I would say probably data NFTs, because again, it's going to build trust. The key aspect to overcome barriers, well, Web3 is not easy, and Web3 has its own issues. You have to know how to use MetaMask or other wallets. Maybe I don't know, a network RPC is not going to function correctly, or the network is clogged. There, I would say, more education regarding Web3. People need to understand that, at least for now, in my personal opinion, blockchain is not perfect. So it's going to take some time. Next question is coming from Corey. Is it possible to change the buy price of a pool? If so, how? Well, interesting. Speaking about pool dynamics, in V3, we had this, I would say, flow. Every time somebody would stake on that data pool, the data token price would go higher, and more people are going to stake, and that data token price is going to uh, become higher and higher and higher, which led to an unexpected problem. At the end, the data set was too expensive, and nobody's willing to pay, let's say, thousands of dollars to consume a data set. In V4, we solved this with the size staking bot. Basically, every time somebody is going to add liquidity or stake in a pool, the price is not going to change. It's like, I don't know, Uniswap. If you are going to add liquidity, you are not going to change the price. But if somebody is going to buy the data token, either for keeping it in a wallet or uh, for consuming a data set, that's going to alter the pool reserve. So the left reserve and the right reserve. And obviously, this is going to change the price. Okay, let's go to the next question. Is coming from Econ Phil. Are data NFTs a generalization of the usual NFT? Could this new token become the new NFT standard in general, including artwork and such? Why or why not? Whew, tough question. Data NFTs are built using two standards. First of all, they are truly REC 721 compatible. So any wallet, any DApp which is able to read an NFT, well, you are going to be able to see it. OpenSea is going to see our NFTs. You can have auctions, you can bid on it, you can transfer it. But obviously, that was not enough. We also added a new IP, which is going to allow you to store keys and values inside the NFT. But again, that was not enough. So that's why we needed to enhance those standard RECs with some custom Ocean code. And especially the biggest challenge was the metadata, because as you know, our metadata is much more complex than a simple token URI or the metadata that is usually used on OpenSea and other NFT markets. So uh, could this token become the new NFT standard? Well, I wish, but it's hard for me to tell. Uh, Maybe, I mean, at the end, I would say it's pretty custom to Ocean because there are so many new features inside the smart contract. So definitely it's going to be to become the standard in data NFTs. About NFTs in general, like bored apes or any kind of JPEG transfer, I'm not sure. Maybe it's too overkill. Okay, next question is coming from David. Hey, David. What will the OPF core team be focusing on next now that V4 is released? Obviously, data sources. We need to bring more data, and just having a simple URL is not going to be enough. So most likely, we are going to have integrations with decentralized networks, Filecoin, Rwave, Storage. Also, there are a lot of enterprise features, requests like being able to connect to a database, being able to run queries. So yeah, that's pretty much is going to be our next focus. Danicon has another question. Which network do you prefer in Ocean V4? What is the best network for data NFT and why? Whew. Well, it's hard for me to say that I have a preferred network. Pretty much every network which is EVM compatible for now, it's going to be enough. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the future. Looking at the main competitors, let's say at Ethereum and other networks like Polygon, Moonriver, well, Ethereum has one big advantage, and I would say it's security. There's so many nodes, so many people are using it. If you want to run, let's say, a 51% attack on mainnet, it's economically speaking, it's impossible. But at the same time, Ethereum has some big disadvantages. It's very expensive and it's pretty slow. So there are new chains which are trying to tackle this, but they're going to be faster, but they're going to be less secure. Again, this is my personal opinion. So it's hard for me to say what's going to happen in the future. We don't know. Looking forward for ETH 2.0, looking forward for more networks. Time will tell. All right, let's wait for more questions. If you have any. Okay, I have another question. Do you think ocean trust and security can be used to assess sustainability certification like LCA? Yeah, but it's going to take some time. Building trust is not something that you can do overnight. And at the end, we are building, as I usually like to say it, bleeding edge technology. We are the first one. Data NFT, we just released the concept like yesterday. It's going to be a pretty lengthy process, but I'm convinced that in the next years, Web3 is going to get an amazing traction, and obviously Ocean is going to go with that. David, I have another question. Do you think a data NFT could be used as a person decentralized identity? Do you think this is a viable use case? Yes, obviously you could do that. In Ocean NFT, again, you have something which can store keys and pairs. So you can mint your own NFT, and then you can have, let's say, some verifiable credentials embedded, or you can get some proofs. For instance, pretty much, I'm sure that most of you knows that we are engaged with GAIX. So maybe you are going to get a stamp of approval. You are a certified GAIX publisher, and you are going to store that proof in the NFT. So definitely, yeah, you could use a data NFT just to store verifiable credential proofs. Corey is asking, will you update OceanJS CLI to v4? Yes, definitely. We haven't had the time for that, but yes, definitely we are going to do that. Robin has a new question. What do you think about the data union of data NFTs, where the data union manages access to the data offered via data NFT? So abstracting from the Ocean part of the users, basically a network of data NFTs. Well, sounds interesting. So you are going to have a union of data NFTs, and this union is going to manage access to the data. Seems like a fractional NFT, or actually it's the other way around. An NFT which is held by a union of NFTs. Yeah, definitely doable. And I like the concept. Roberto, thank you for the support. Okay, I'm waiting for more questions. Okay, let's have one more question, the last question. Somebody is typing. See both David. Other than Ocean v4, what do you think is the second most exciting things happening on Web3? DeFi, of course. And I see that Neurosift is also typing, so I promise that's going to be the last question. What are the biggest barriers to enterprises adopting and listening data sets from your experience? From my personal experience, they're lawyers. As soon as you are going to engage with an enterprise, you are going to have an army of lawyers which are going to try to explain that pretty much you are not allowed to do anything. And yeah, definitely that was our biggest hurdle in the last, I would say, year or more than that. But slowly, big enterprises uh, are seeing the value in blockchain and especially Web3. So we are going to have adoption. Again, it's not going to be overnight, but it's going to happen. And it's going to, maybe, I don't know how to say it, we are going to have a boom. And we are not far from that point. Okay, so it's time for me to choose three winners of our super cool NFTs. First winner, Robin. I really like your question about data union of NFTs. So, congrats. The second winner, Akonfeel, with his question about data NFTs as a new standard. Thank you for the question. And I have to pick one more. I think it's going to be Jambu, yeah, uh, with his question, which of the main innovations in ONDA V4 will drive more adoption? So that's it. We are going to have more MAs, so stay in touch. And if you have additional questions, just post them or just drop me a PM. So that was kind of all from my side. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe. Thank you, guys. Congrats to all the NFT winners.